Hello, welcome to another Tech in 10. We're going to spend 10 minutes today talking about mastering remote work and some best practices for productivity and collaboration. So, a little bit of change of pace from the productivity around Copilot that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. So, let's jump straight into it. So, remote work has become a key part of work-life balance, offering some flexibility from the traditional jobs where you go into the office. Um, Technology has enabled this where people can work anywhere. Generally, it will allow for better work-life balances as people progress through their career and their life. Sometimes things will change, and being able to be at home can be quite valuable to some. So, we talk here about some of the effects of what that could look like or what the day might look like to help manage the time in the day, the reducing the stress that you might see, and trying to just work through that typical day. So, in this example, it comes from Microsoft, is around the Microsoft 365 suite. So Daria is a remote worker, and we can see a bit of a timeline of what might be typical in the day. So start on at 8:30 and join a Teams meeting with the daily status with their team. Moving forward into 10:15 and looking at some of the cloud-based apps and looking at presentations that you might want to be working on. In Teams, you can collaborate really effectively with documents where you can tag your co-workers and make comments so that they can see what we're talking about contextually, which is really awesome. Uh, After we've done that bit of work, I might grab some lunch and then have a look at the tasks in Planner to sort of see where we're at for the day. So, Planner is a way to organize tasks between teams individually and so on. So, that is quite valuable. Jumping into to 1:30 with Mark, that was tagged a bit earlier in the day to do some co-authoring and real-time editing on a presentation. So it means that they don't really need to send copies of the document back and forward and manage versions. So using the Teams Meet now allows you the full functionality of a meeting without having to really schedule it. So this is a new button that's come into Microsoft Teams recently, rather than just the direct dial from chat, you can do a meeting. So that enables things like recording, co-authoring, and better collaboration. So um, after that, Dario might schedule a channel meeting. So we're going to go through the entire adoption team to update them on what's happening on the final presentation. So, you've got your teams and your channels, and starting a meeting in the context of that allows it to reach the people that are available to join. It doesn't need to be scheduled. It doesn't waste time going back and forth trying to find a time. So that can then be recorded. The notes can be taken in OneNote. The transcript can be there. And if you've got Copilot, then you can overlay that on. And people that weren't able to attend the meeting would be able to get a list of action items that they may have. So, um, ending off the day at 5 o'clock, Daria might catch up with a team in a company-wide training and watching a video using Stream, which is the video service that is tied into Microsoft 365. And the solution that you'll use if you're recording a meeting. That's where Stream is. It comes into its expertise. So that's what a day could look like. None of this is necessarily in the office. It could be in the office. It could be remotely. It could be from home. The tools that we've got here are able to work across all those environments, giving greater flexibility. So next, we'll jump into a little bit about setting up a productive home workspace. So obviously when you're working at home, it's just a different place to work, but there's certain things that over the past 5 or so years we've probably noticed has changed quite a bit. So when you go into the office, it's very purposefully set up for working. So it's important to choose a quiet and comfortable spot to work so that you're able to give a bit of separation between work and life as well. But that will help minimize noise, especially if you've got to use video and audio calls, and potentially making sure that you've got good noise cancelling headphones to minimize any of those things. Um, Good lighting and ergonomics. So it might be get too comfortable being at home. You want to make sure that you're still looking after the ergonomics. Proper lighting will help you minimize the strain on your eyes. Natural light is always best, so near a window if possible. And make sure that you've got your posture correct when you're sitting. Otherwise, that can cause issues. And it's a bit sometimes it can be hard to maintain those things, but if you've got the option, like I happen to have with a standing desk, that can make a big difference. One of the things I like to do is whenever I'm doing a video call, I try and be standing because it helps your posture be in a better place and breaks up the day a bit as well. Uh, Last thing is just minimize distractions, try to keep the work area tidy, and reduce stress. If you can, you try to put blockers on websites that you're using, or even just go down to a case of work on the work device and your personal computer is used for something separate, to try and avoid distractive sites, and just try to establish a clear work schedule. So that's some little tips there around a productive home space. Then we talk about effective communication tools. So obviously we've talked a little bit about Teams. Zoom is another one that's quite popular, very easy to use and get on board with. Slack also brings that capability. So if you're not using Teams, you might be using Zoom or Slack. So definitely consider using one of those tools to help offer real-time collaboration in an organized way. Um, the next thing you should do when you're working remotely or from home, whichever that may be, is scheduling regular check-ins and virtual meetings. So this helps maintain team cohesion and helps to bridge the gap of what you naturally get when you're physically in the office that you don't realize is missing. We have that. We have a daily huddle at least every day where we catch up, and we have some other meetings throughout the week to help us make sure that we're all communicating well. And the other thing is using collaborative environments for documents. So it's very hard to manage if you've got different versions of files flowing around. So using real-time editing tools like Google Workspace, Office 365 will help minimize the rework or accidental overwriting and just streamline the ability to get things done. So definitely have those in play. Next one is time management and productivity strategies. So I always say that you can't really manage time. It's really about priority management. So you need to implement a good technique to be able to do that. There's a couple of ones that we've got here that might be worth considering. You may have heard of them before. The Pomodoro technique typically breaks things into 25-minute chunks, and then you have a short break. So that allows you to maintain your focus and productivity. And time blocking is another one. So allocating blocks of times for different activities to help manage those things effectively. I think it's been proven that multitasking is very difficult to maintain and people cannot do it very well. So you're better off to focus on set tasks to move those things forward. Next thing is set clear goals and prioritize tasks. So set a goal and work towards them with tasks. You can do it based on urgency and importance. And there's frameworks like the Eisenhower matrix or ABC prioritization. So those tools are really important. And then you look on to the next stage, which is organizing tasks into boards, lists, cards, or another visual type of management or collaboration tool. So we look here, we've got Asana, Todoist, and Trello are examples. Planner that we mentioned earlier is the Microsoft flavor of that. So definitely worth getting that all organized so that you can collaborate on those things. The next one is setting boundaries between work and personal time. So definitely need to be more mindful of that because it's very difficult to maintain. You might have family members around that might not understand what that looks like, particularly if you've got younger kids. But it's important to take regular breaks and practice self-care. Schedule the short breaks if you can throughout the day. Stretch, walk, be outside if you can, if it's not as cold as it is at the moment in Melbourne. But try to do those things to help maintain productivity for the actual work times. And definitely plan activities outside of work to relax and recharge, however that looks like for you. it's important to get away from the desk, and that's where having a set working area can be quite useful to just go, that door's closed now, it's after work hours, and move on. So lastly, step 5, connect and engage with your team. So um, when you're not in the office, there's a lot of the social cues physically that you'll miss. So it's important to maintain a virtual office culture and use social interactions to do that. So, with Crumble, we use Teams quite a bit. We have dedicated times where we catch up. We have informal times where we catch up, and we try to do those regularly without something set. Using things like emojis and GIFs just brings some social interaction to different things, and you have to be really purposeful with it. So one of our policies is here is that if you're available with green status in Teams, then we use video calls as a first point of call. So we could chat, we could audio call, but video is the best way to get as close to the in-office interaction as possible. And another example is just encouraging team building activities and virtual events. So they may not be things that aren't necessarily directly related to the work, but they're important to build the team capacity there. So there's some 5 quick tips on that. Move on to any questions. We have the Q&A button up the top there. If you've got any questions, please use that to put some questions in. Just happy to answer a few. First one we've got here is, how can I ensure remote team stays productive and accountable? Look, I think establishing clear expectations and goals is important. So using project tools or task management tools is probably the best way to help set deadlines, track progress, to use something for regular check-ins, to be able to manage that and try to keep track of where things are at. So I don't think we should assume that if people aren't working in an office, they're working less, because we're probably all seeing people working in an office not doing exactly what we think that they should be doing as well. So it's not a hard and fast rule. So what are some strategies to foster collaboration and communication among remote work teams? So there's many tools out there that fills this gap. So Teams and Slack are very common. Real-time messaging and file sharing, project updates, focused communication channels for different things. So there's those. There's regular video meetings and face-to-face interactions to continue to build rapport. Encouraging open communication and between and within different departments and teams and projects. And virtual team building activities is also a good one to help bring a cohesive team culture together. So perfect. All right. I think that's all we have for question wise today. Thank you for joining us for this Tech and 10. Hopefully taken some valuable insights out of it. Please feel free to contribute to it on the website we've got there. And otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks.